Hey, what's up, big dogs? Once again, my predictions were absolutely shit. Yeah, JDM got smoked by Prates. I didn't think it was going to be quite that easy. Obviously, we all kind of saw this possibility happening, but yeah, man, he got cooked. His style of fighting is not a good style for fighting somebody like Carlos Prates. And we kind of knew that. I kind of knew that, but I was kind of hoping he can mix in the grappling enough to make it through, but no, I was wrong. Anyways, I'm going to give you guys my full thoughts on this card and the recap and, kind of reaction to all the fights and obviously talk about the main event. This is a card with a lot of fighters that just don't deserve to be in the UFC. I'm going to be honest. Like, there's a lot of fighters that just shouldn't be here. We'll get into it, but anyways, right off the bat, Cody Steele, he started off strong. I picked Dalmar Fang, so, we're getting our ass kicked right out of the bat. Cody Steele's pretty good. The thing that had me kind of worried about him beating Dalmar Fang was the fact that he never uses his grappling, and obviously he decides to use his grappling and gets a knee bar submission or whatever. Kind of an interesting submission, but easy submission from Cody Steele in the grappling. Like, Dalmar Fang survived the grappling all right at the beginning, but it was clear Cody Steele had an advantage, and obviously later in the first round, he was able to lock something up and get him out of there. His striking is not bad. He throws a lot of power. He's not as clean as Dalmar Fang in the striking, which we kind of knew, but it was kind of like I might have actually picked Cody Steele. I can't remember. But if he mixed in the grappling, I kind of thought he would have a good chance of winning, and he absolutely did mix in the grappling and absolutely won quite easily. So we have that. Good win from Cody Steele, honestly. Good start. Themba Grimbo sucks. We know that. I picked Jonathan McAlfee to win this fight. Wasn't it an amazing performance for Jonathan McAlfee? It was a pretty close fight against Themba Grimbo. Obviously, he won, but it was close. Like, Themba Grimbo could have maybe won the first round. I think you still wouldn't give it to Jonathan McAlfee. I think it was the right decision. His grappling didn't look that much better, or didn't look that great against Themba Grimbo. Striking wise, he was getting a bit pieced up at range, but not bad. He just didn't use the right techniques, I think, in the striking. As early on as he should have. The body kicks that he was throwing were really good against Themba Grimbo. Probably should have implemented a bit earlier. But yeah, it wasn't like an insane performance from Jonathan McAlfee. It was a split decision, obviously. Themba Grimbo didn't look great either. It was one of those ones where like, okay, well, it's Themba Grimbo, but also Jonathan McAlfee didn't look as good as maybe we thought. So not much to talk about there. It was a win for Jonathan McAlfee. I didn't wake up early for these fights, but I watched them back, so I did see them. Fucking wet. I shouldn't have picked Ben Johnson, but Wes Schultz is awful. And yeah, Ben Johnson Wes Schultz's only thing that he's good at is grappling, and he's not really that good at grappling, but Ben Johnson just kept shooting himself into guillotines. And to be fair to Ben Johnson, he was able to defend all the guillotines, and the guillotines weren't really that well done. But when you put yourself in 8 submission attempts in a row, one of them might get tight, and that's kind of what happened. And fucking Wes Schultz got a win in the end of a fight. I thought if Wes Schultz was gonna win, because his card is not great. It would have been maybe a bit earlier on, but yeah, Ben Johnson, he could have probably won the stand up. Didn't. Yeah, he just shot a bunch of takedowns against Wes Schultz. It was weird. It was a weird fight. Not a great showing from Ben Johnson, and fucking Wes Schultz gets a win somehow. Yeah, there's that. Got this one right at least. Kobe Thicknessy versus Vince Morales. I don't think this was one of those performances where honestly, this didn't look like as good of a version of Vince Morales as I've seen against some of the better fighters. I think Elijah Smith is better than Kobe Thickness. I think Raul Rosas Jr. is probably better than Kobe Thickness, obviously. Vince Morales had close fights against them. This was a close fight against Kobe Thickness, but Vince Morales didn't look great in it either. Kobe Thickness' striking was worse than I remember. There was that. His grappling would look better than I thought it would, honestly, and I kind of thought he would have a little bit of a grappling advantage against Vince Morales, but he looked good in the grappling. He did a good job of mixing it in. Obviously won, I think, the majority of the first and second round and won a decision, but he won the fight. It just wasn't an impressive win. And again, Vince Morales is another close decision. This dude's output is not high enough to be doing close decisions like this. And he's pretty good. Vince Morales is pretty good everywhere, but he's he's losing consistently, losing close decisions. Like this is 6 in a row, I think, or something crazy like that, which it just cannot be happening. And he should have picked up the pace in the third round against Kobe Thickness, to be honest. I think he should have picked it up. But yeah, Kobe Thickness that's kind of his thing I was talking about in the breakdown of the fight is he's pretty good everywhere. His striking is not bad. It didn't look as good as I remembered in this fight, but his grappling is not bad as well. He has good output, which is good. And the problem with him is he just doesn't have any stopping power, like whether it's in the submissions or in the striking. So you have people that are able to take what the shots he's throwing, they're able to walk him down, and his striking is not good enough. And yeah, it's tough, man. Like he needs to find something that is able to. He needs to really improve his grappling so he can finish people on the ground, or he needs to find some way in the striking to sit down and punches harder to be able to like get some respect. Because if Vince Morales wanted to, he could have walked Kobe Thickness down, like in the third round and just thrown big shots at him and tried to get him out of there that way. And he probably wouldn't have gotten finished. He probably would have been able to maybe get a finish of his own. However, Vince Morales doesn't do that. So that was kind of the problem with this fight I saw coming into it. And yeah, Kobe Thickness isn't bad, but there's some work to be done, especially in the striking. And he needs to find something to not keep going to these close decisions, because when he gets against a higher level of people, they're going to use what they're good at to stop him, because he doesn't have anything to slow you down. So his cardio is good, but it's not elite. Like in the first round, he looked good because he's moving around so much and he has high volume output. But by the second and third round, he starts to slow down. And if he's slowing down and Vince Morales is able to keep up pace with you, then that's a problem if you're don't have anything to stop somebody. So he needs to figure out a way to have some kind of danger factor or fight ending factor in his skill set, or he needs to really, really improve his cardio where he can just max Holloway people. But his striking is not that level either. So he needs to like grapple fuck or cardio mog people. Kind of like a Marab almost, I guess. Just because otherwise he needs to find a way to stop them, because otherwise he's going to lose against people that are a little bit more high level, that are just able to take what he has to offer in the grappling and the striking and implement their game. This next fight, I mean, Vince Morales, I think, like, although he's not a bad fighter, you've lost 6 fights in a row in the UFC. It's time to go. Same with this one. I honestly don't think Jacob Malkoun. I thought Jacob Malkoun was going to look better than this. Minus 1,100 odds is insane. And he went to a decision with GM3. Yeah, honestly, Jacob Malkoun, he should probably be. I know he won, but get him out of the UFC, man. Like, there's some really bad fighters on this card. Like Ben Johnson, Wen Schultz, gone. All the other guys can stay. Temba Grimbo is on kind of a losing streak, but he's the UFC caliber, at least bottom of the barrel. Vince Morales, I think he's UFC caliber, bottom of the barrel, but like also you're on a 6-fight losing streak or whatever it is, so you got to go. Jacob Malkoun and Jared Mearshart should both go. Jared Mearshart's on a 7 or 8 fight losing streak now. He's got to go. Like, it's not. I know he's been around forever, but he's not a high enough skill level to be in the UFC anymore. And the fact that Jacob Malkoun is looking like that against Jared Mearshart, and he's not even in shape, it's time to go, bro. I think both of these guys, time to go. It was not an impressive performance from Jacob Malkoun. He's trying to grapple with Jared Mearshart. I know he's more of a grappler, but he's had so much success in the striking. Just strike with him. Another fight, Junior Tafa versus. I'm going to break this down pretty quick because there's a lot of the fights that don't really need to be broken down. Junior Tafa versus Kevin Christian. Junior Tafa is capable of winning fights in the UFC against the lower level fighters. Kevin Christian needs to be cut, I think, as well. I think this is like a card where we're like, okay, there's a lot of people that kind of need to go. Kevin Christian's not great. He's just not great. He's not good enough to be in the UFC. And if you're losing to a Junior Tafa like that, then yeah, it's Junior Tafa. Junior Tafa didn't look great in this fight. He looked good. He looked okay, but it's against Kevin Christian. So Junior Tafa, whenever he's on a skid, he kind of wins a fight and or finishes a low level guy, and he's able to stay in the UFC. That's kind of what this was. But he didn't look great. Again, he looked okay. It is what it is. I mean, he finished Kevin Christian, but we kind of all saw that coming. Like, it's gonna be a stand up fight. He's better in the kickboxing. It was a Junior Tafa fight to win. not much to go on. I picked Robert Brychek because I don't think Cam Rouston's very good, and he lost a decision against Cam Rouston. This is one of the fights I actually didn't go back and watch the full thing for some reason. I did watch some of it though. Cam Rouston, I still don't think he's that good, but he got a win over Robert Brychek, so I'll give it to him, man. He's winning fights. I think he's got to be on a pretty decent winning streak now, right? Let's see. He's won all of his fights, but he fought Petrosky, Brundage, and Brychek. Brychek, I think, is probably the harder one, but Brundage isn't awful. The problem with Brundage is, like, his striking is not great, and, like, Cam Rouston just throws, he kind of throws whipping shots like how Prates does that. Although his technique is very bad, he's very open, and it's very awkward. They have sting and pop on them, so, like, they're going to hurt you. And, yeah. I don't know. I didn't think it was a great performance from Cam Rouston, but he picks up a win. I wouldn't call him a prospect by any means. I think his skill level I think his technique is still too low in the striking, but he does have good ability to hurt people. And he mixed in the grappling well. His grappling looked good. So good win from Cam Rouston. Womp womp for Robert Brychek, I guess. This is another fight, but these guys should get cut. Louis Sutherland. I think I picked Louis Sutherland to win this fight, but I still think that Louis Sutherland is not UFC level. Tai Tuivasa is far from UFC level. We've seen that over and over and over again. I don't really want to talk about this that much because there's not much to talk about. Louis Sutherland is an awful grappler and not a great striker, and he dominated Tai Tuivasa in the grappling and didn't give Tai didn't have very many openings in the striking. So the fact that this guy was fighting people like Tai was fighting people like Cyril Gane and doing okay, it baffles me somehow. But yeah, I don't think Tai Tuivasa is. The bro's got to be cut. He's on a like 7 or 8 fight losing streak. Again, get him out of here. Yeah, it's not entertaining for me personally. Obviously this fight was not entertaining because it was the most boring grapple. Like, they literally did nothing. Louis Sutherland just lied on him, and Tai Tuivasa's too fat to get up and has no technique, so he can't get up. But yeah, it's not entertaining. I don't like a lot of the heavyweight fights because the skill level is just too low. And Shamil Ghaziev's skill level, again, his skill level is not very high. He's not a skilled fighter. Like, he's just not. The technique is just simply not there. Brando Perchik, though, I do think is a skilled fighter for heavyweight, and he's an interesting prospect to look out for. You can see muscle definition on his arms. You can't see an ounce of muscle definition anywhere on Shamil. You're a professional athlete, man. You shouldn't look like that. You shouldn't look like that. I get you're a big dude, but you shouldn't look like that. Brando Perchik, he's fast. He's got pretty good technique. He's a good athlete for his size and weight class. And I think he's going to give a lot of guys at heavyweight problems because he's actually an athlete and he actually has some technique. So good win for Brando Perchik. I think he's a good fighter, and he deserves is it fight of the night? I don't know if he deserves fight of the night, but he deserves a bonus, I guess. Marwan Rahiki wins against Ollie Schmidt. I think Marwan Rahiki is a good fighter. I think he's still young in his career and he has some kind of openings in his defense, but his offense is very, very good. He's a very offensive fighter. Every fight he wins. Every fight he wins, which is all of them, he's undefeated, has been by finish. So he's a very offensive fighter. He's got good offensive technique. He's a little bit reckless, but he is a very good offensive fighter. So I think Marwan Rahiki has a big ceiling. I think he's going to get a little bit fraud checked at some point throughout his run. Obviously by a little bit more technical fighter who's able to capitalize on those kind of defensive deficiencies, but he's a good fighter. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a good fighter. And I don't know how you can pick Ollie Schmidt in this fight. The dude was 4-2. Like, if you're 4-2, that's not even a good regional record. I know it's on short notice. I know, and they're trying to find somebody on short notice. I get it. And if I was in Robert or Ollie Schmidt's position, you take that opportunity to fight in the UFC, but he was just way more experienced than Ollie Schmidt, like way more experienced. Ollie Schmidt didn't look awful, but like he looked like he was a 4-2 fighter fighting a guy that's, a decent UFC prospect. So Yeah, pretty easy win from Rahiki. Rahiki gets it done, man. He looked good, and his striking was good. Like his counter shots and what he KO'd Ollie Schmidt with was impressive. It was impressive, but like again against Harry Hardwick, like he didn't look like he looked good, but like yeah, like there's deficiencies for sure in there. This fight was good against Tim Elliott versus Steve Erceg. Tim Elliott did a great job in the first round. Took Steve Erceg a little bit to settle into the fight and kind of figure out what Tim Elliott's doing with all his random ass bullshit. But the way Tim Elliott fights is very, very counterable by somebody like Steve Erceg when he was doing specific things. Those like leaning lead hooks that he kept throwing repeatedly, like he's literally just like step in, boom, boom. But like it's so easy to counter over the top of those. He was doing a really good job in the first round by using that like karate stance front side kick. That was working really well for him. He probably should have stuck to it a little bit more. His grappling was good against Steve Erceg. I think he had a grappling advantage against Steve Erceg, and he looked good against Steve Erceg in the grappling. The problem with Steve Erceg is his grappling is good enough that he's not going to get finished by any of these guys, and he's not going to get dominated by any of these guys in the grappling. Like if he can hang with Pantoja in the grappling, you're outside of like Tatsuya Taira, you're probably going to be just fine. Defending the majority of all the grappling submissions and stuff like that and managing. Like maybe you lose a round, but like you're not going to get finished in that aspect. And that was, it was good. Tim Elliott had the advantage there, and he actually performed well in the grappling and mixed it in well. He's got a very unique style. The problem with Tim Elliott's style, and I've noticed this honestly in my own fighting style, is when you are so sporadic like that with the movements and like switching stances and throwing different things, doesn't matter how good your cardio is compared to the other guys. Again, you're in the UFC, most people's cardio is elite anyways, but when you're doing that much, you're gonna gas out more than anybody else. Like you're gonna get tired. And the reason that obviously Steve Erceg found his timing in the second and third round a little bit better, but a lot of the reason why Steve Erceg took over in the later rounds was because Tim Elliott, like the way he fights, he wasn't able to keep that pace up as effectively as he was in the first round. Like if he fought all three rounds like he did in the first round, that much pace, that much volume, that much kind of like, unique movement, sporadic movement, effort in the grappling, I think it would have been a little bit closer of a fight, and he might have been able to win a decision, maybe, picked up the second round. But it's so much excessive movement, so much unnecessary movement. And I get that's his fighting style, and that's how that works for him. But when you fight like that, your cardio better be like leaps and leaps and bounds above everybody else's, because you're going to tire out more than Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg is doing fucking nothing. Like, I'm not going to lie, like not nothing, but like he's not flat footed, but he's not wasting any movements. Like he's throwing ones and twos. He's countering over the top. He's step back twos when Tim Elliott comes in. He's moving in out of range slow. And that's because he doesn't have to use more movement than that. He's very efficient with his movements. Whereas Tim Elliott is, that's his fighting style, but he's not as efficient with his movement. So if your output is way up here and your opponent's output's down here, you're going to, no matter how good your cardio is, you're going to gas out before them. So it's something to think about when picking these fights and stuff like that. And something that like, you look at like somebody like Ilia Topuria, like that guy is never going to get tired in a fight because he doesn't use any energy. His boxing is just plods forward. Like, and like, personally, that's not like how I like to fight or other people. Like, it's more fun to be like a guy that's bouncing in and out of range, switching stances, all that kind of stuff. But it's a lot of wasted movement. Like if you fight like Topuria, you're not going to get tired like that. Like there's no way you tire out before your opponent because they have to move around so much, and you just get to close distance, slowly explode. Close distance, slowly explode. It's very easy to maintain your cardio fighting like that. So I thought that was one of the things that kind of let Tim Elliott down in this was just, again, obviously Steve Erceg was the cleaner, more technical striker and found his timing in the second, third round. Clearly that was a big benefit, but also Tim Elliott slowed down. You can see in the third round, his pace was not near what it was in the first round, which is to be expected. But if you're expending that much more energy unnecessarily against somebody else that's not, you're going to have a hard time keeping up that pace. Beneil Dariush versus Quillan Salkfield. Beneil Dariush got fucking boomba clapped. We all knew that was happening. He did okay in the grappling at the beginning. the guy just has no chin. If he had a chin and could take a shot from Quillen Salkeld, I think he wins the fight. I think he outgrapples Quillen Salkeld. But the problem is, he can't take a shot, and Quillen Salkeld's a better striker than him. He's going to land at least one good shot, and yeah, easily KOs Beneil Dariush. Great win from Quillen Salkeld. It's just more Beneil Dariush has no chin, so it's like, okay, well, of course Quillen Salkeld's going to win. That was a co-main. I forgot about that. Good win from Quillen Salkeld. He's a really good prospect in the division, and I think he does well against a lot of the guys there. Like, he's a good striker. He showed good grappling defense and takedown defense against Beneil Dariush, who is a good grappler. Called out Mateus Gamrot, which is sick to see. Not a great matchup for him, but obviously he's got the striking advantage there. But yeah, I don't know. Beneil Dariush is time. I think it's time for Beneil Dariush to go. Another guy that's on a big losing streak that's like, his chin is gone. So it's time to hang it up. Carlos Prates versus JDM. I did get this one wrong. Obviously picked JDM. I thought maybe JDM would have a higher volume output than Carlos Prates, but I should have known that would be pretty similar to Carlos Prates, and I thought that he'd mix in the grappling a little bit more and a little bit more effectively. He really didn't. The one thing that JDM does, the problem with JDM's fight style against Carlos Prates is he covers up so much. He's got really good tight guard, but when you're already a shorter fighter, fighting a guy as long as Carlos Prates, you either need to be all the way out of range or all the way in range, and he's at this mid-range with his hands up like this. You look at somebody like Volkanovski, who strikes with a lot longer fighters. He's not in mid-range covering like this. He's either all the way out or he's all the way in. If you're in mid-range covering like this, which JDM is, the problem with it is MMA gloves don't do enough to stop a punch from somebody like Carlos Prates to cause damage. Like, even if you have your hands up, if Carlos Prates whips one of those punches that he does, like, first of all, striking super clean and really technical, Carlos Prates. But if they whip a shot or even throw a clean shot and you have your guard up like this, it's still going to hurt you. And that's the one thing that I say all the time. Like, the tight boxing guard is really good and it's better than having no guard. But you can't just sit at mid-range like this. You cannot expect to take shots and block you like this and it not rock you. Like, maybe 125, yeah, but like at a weight class like that, no. Like somebody like Carlos Prates hits you as hard as they can and you have your hand up like this, your fingers and that little bit of padding is not going to fucking stop it. It's going to stop it, but it's still going to rock you, right? Like, it's still, and a lot of the times, like, you'll fight and you'll spar, you have your hand up like this, like something wraps around the back and like catches you on the back of the ear, or even like half catches your hand, half catches the top of your head. That shit still hurts. And that's the problem with JDM. Like, especially fighting somebody at Carlos Prates' like skill set, where he's a long rangey, really technical striker. He has to be all the way in or all the way out. And he spent a lot of time at this mid-range with Carlos Prates, where Carlos Prates was able to just bash him, like either split the guard by just throwing, like, even if JDM goes like this and tries to hold a tight guard, if Carlos Prates throws a 2 as hard as he can, straight down the middle, it's gonna blast through a little bit and it's gonna end up catching you, right? Doing this as hard as you can is still not gonna stop somebody punching as hard as they can at your face. And there's just too many openings in small gloves. You have boxing gloves, JDM versus Prates, like kickboxing gloves, different story. JDM's gonna block a lot more of those punches, and take a lot more pop off them. I still think it goes the same way after watching the fight, but it's going to take a lot more pop off them. When you're training boxing, like kickboxing and stuff like that, but you're an MMA fighter, you can't, this is my personal take. Obviously, it's really good to have your hands up, and that's really important. Even better to not get hit with the punch at all. I would much rather be out of range or slip the punch than be like this and block a punch. If you block a punch full force, an MMA glove doesn't always do enough to stop it from rocking you, right? And that's what we saw a lot in this fight. Obviously, Carlos Prates was landing clean shots as well. But JDM was covering up. And once you cover up like that, especially if you're at mid-range, he's not a long enough fighter to counter Carlos Prates when he shells up like this at mid-range. He has to be in even closer than that. And whenever he tried to close the distance, he was getting blasted with the knee. He was getting just pot-shotted, blasted through the guard at range. And he was getting destroyed with calf kicks as well. So Carlos Prates basically just beat the shit out of JDM for the entire 3 rounds it lasted. JDM had some success with the grappling takedowns, got a little bit overzealous in the first round with like trying to take the back and losing it, or maybe that was the second round, I can't remember. But he doesn't have the best takedown entries. Carlos Prates has got pretty good grappling. And JDM found himself on the back foot. Like the only time he was having success in this fight was when he was on the front foot. And he wasn't always willing to be that guy pressuring forward. Obviously, I know it's a little bit tough when you have somebody like Carlos Prates in front of you. But he really needed to be the guy on the front foot the entire fight and mixing in a lot more grappling than he did. And it just didn't happen that way. Carlos Prates looked really, really good. I don't want to take anything away from Carlos Prates because that was a masterful performance. The guy's striking is really, really high level. And he causes a lot of problems for a lot of the guys in this division. Like him against Morales, I think there's a good chance Carlos Prates gets it done. Like, really good chance. His striking is good, and he knows how to hurt people. He knows how to finish fights. So, yeah, great win from Carlos Prates. I think he's got to fight for the belt next, probably. It would be interesting to see how a fight against him and Islam goes, to be honest. Islam obviously dominates him in the grappling, but is Carlos Prates able to land a big shot on him as Islam's closing range before that happens? Possibly. It would have to be like a first. I think the way Carlos Prates beats Islam is a first round KO, because once it hits the ground, I think Islam's going to be able to finish him and submit him. So he has to KO Islam before Islam even gets a chance to take it to the ground or shoot. Maybe it's going to be like a Masvidal-esque, like Ben Askren finish where Islam just shoots right away and gets kneed in the dome. Who knows? Anyways, it's interesting, but JDM definitely needs to kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit. Like, he's a really good fighter. He's a top 5 fighter in the division for sure. Technical fighter. But this was not the play against Carlos Prates. I don't know what he would have done differently. Like, the only thing he would have done differently is like have way better grappling and pressure Carlos Prates enough to implement it more. But he spent a lot of time on the feet with Carlos Prates without trying to grapple. And a lot of the time at that mid-range, like I said, covered up like this. And those shots are just, they're slowly doing more and more damage as the fight went on. And you can even hear in Carlos Prates' corner, like the second round, they're like, when he has his guard up, just throw a 2 down the middle. It'll break through the guard. It'll fill that gap. And that's exactly what happened. And yeah, Carlos Prates did a great job. The knees were nasty from Carlos Prates as well, throwing those open stance knees right to the head of JDM. It was a good fight. It was an entertaining fight. It was a domination by Carlos Prates. Anyways, that's my reaction to the fight. To the fight card. I don't want to take, too much out of this because, it is what it is. It was a good fight card. It wasn't an amazing fight card. It was good because some of the matchups, like the main event and stuff like that, but there was a lot of like one-sided beatdowns and a lot of people that just probably shouldn't be in the UFC in this card. So anyways, I'm excited for next week's card. That should be fun. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. I'll be back next week, obviously. Deuces.